How's it going, guys? Coffee here. Today I wanted to go over how to use the trade house and trade house filters in order to save you a lot of money and ensure that you are getting the right items for your build as well. So first things, a lot of the items that we are using on this build are using specific corruptions, and not everyone knows how to search for those properly. So first things, when you actually do have items that you are going to that you've dropped yourself, you want to make sure that you are using the price check function on this, and then you basically make sure you are checking the boxes for the relevant skills in order to get those price checked, right? So say an item like this, Hecate's, when we go to sell this, the filter is pretty good about only selecting the mod that it thinks is important. But if you wanted to search specific other things as well, like say we were looking for one like, oh, I wanted it to ensure that it included the max resistance as well, the higher roll on that, then you would need to actually go in here and check those additional filters. But that isn't something it always does. And then when it comes to buying like a copy of this chest, right? If you're trying to play the same build as me and you want to buy a copy of this chest, the things that are important about this isn't, you don't need to buy specifically this max tenacity blessings with this additional damage here, because the same additional damage rolls on every single mod. So you want to be able to search for all of the different mods for that, right? So what that means is that what you end up needing to do here, you go to this advanced tab and you go to under legendary gear. We're going to select chest armor, and into chest armor here, we're going to choose the actual base itself. So once you've actually chosen the specific base, when you look under search criteria, it's going to include all of the mods that can roll specifically on this item that are sellable. So you can see this additional damage on each one of these. And then the other corrosion bases. So like the +1 active skill, +1 max, things like that. So we can even just click on this and we can see how many are available, if any. Most likely it's none. I don't even think those are tradable anymore. I think they actually might have changed that. So, but what you end up wanting to do, because instead of having to search for this and go back and be like, oh, well, I don't know if these are cheaper. Let me go back and let's check the other one. What you want to do is you want to add a condition group. And if you see here under condition group, the default, it'll just say greater than 0. For this, you don't really need to change that. If you just put in all 3 of these in here, you can tell it to, if we set it to 1, it's going to search for all the chests that have any of these 1. So this is max tenacity, this one's max focus, this one's max agility. This includes all of them in the same list. So you can actually see them all in one place and actually determine what's going to be the best price. If we want to search for 2 of the mods at once, then we end up just changing this over to a minimum of 2. And now we'll see just the chests with a minimum of 2. So 2 of these both pushed at the same time, which, as you can see here, the price goes from like 3 FE to 200 something. So that's pretty common for corruptions in this to kind of do that. Another good rule of thumb is how to go about price checking for items that you are trying to buy. So say you're trying to buy specific ember or specific anything else. I guess I gotta want to be compasses, right? So if we're going over here or we're buying beacons, what you want to be doing before you buy the beacons you're going to buy is you want to make sure you click the price check button before you go in there. So it'll tell you what the lowest price is. You want to make sure you're doing this because, again, you don't want to be overpaying for beacons. So you can see there's 23 listings at 2.1, which is a decent amount. If it says there's only like 1 or 2 listings of something, typically don't try to price check for that. Like, you're unlikely to find it, or it's probably already been sold by the time you get to it. But you can see here, I already have it set here. What you want to be setting is the unit price filter. What this does is this sets the max price per unit, so that it will show you only those and it will gray out everything else. So by me having this filter on here, as I go ahead and scroll through, we're going to go ahead and we're going to see only the ones that are priced at that price here. We'll set it to 2.2 for the example of the guide. Here, as you can see, it's only going to highlight those. So it makes it quick if you're going through pages, like when you're buying embers and things like that. A lot of the times you'll run into this where like whole pages are being sold at once. Being able to cycle through quickly like this with just the stuff that's highlighted that you know is at the price range that you've set, you can safely basically just ignore everything, and you're just basically clicking on the lights and buying everything that you need as you do that. Same thing can go for if you are going to go ahead and craft gear. There are some specific breakpoints for mods that you want to be keep in mind. So level 82 is the required level for tier 2 mods on your gear. So if you're going to go buy an item, it needs to be item level 82 or more. So make sure when you're setting the item level, you set it to 82. If you want specifically an item that's going to be craftable with flame sand and not with flame elementium, you want the item level to be between level 82 and 85. Typically, when you're looking for this, you can just buy whatever base, like when you're searching for this. But when you do start to search for gear that uses item or tier 1 mods at item level 86, it is recommended that you look at the price of, we don't need it to be max 86, just over 86. You want to be looking at the price of the modifiers on the item, or see if you can find an item that's already rolled with the tier 1 mod when you go to buy it. So say I was looking for helmets. I do know that the two the mods that are more expensive to craft are the advanced affixes. So if we look here on this weapon, for example, right? The basic affixes on here cost 1 FE. And to roll the advanced affixes cost 3 FE each. And they cost 10 matchless embers as well. So what that means is if I'm going to go buy an item, I would prefer to buy it already with one of these advanced affixes already rolled on there at tier 1, preferably at a high roll as well, because truth fossils are really, really expensive. They're like 8 FE a piece or something. So because of that, so if we see, okay, tier 1 int on a weapon is, or tier 1, we'll look at tier 1 int on a on gloves or something, for example, right? So if we look at tier 1 int, oh, these don't even have int on them. If we look at tier 1 int on these here, right, we can click this little line here and it'll tell us what tier 1 is. It goes up to 60. So what that means is when we go to search, say we're going to make a new helmet, we would want to search for like 58 to 60, right? Because we want to try to find something really, really cheap, because it would cost 3 FE per click. To get this, it's worth the 35 FE just to get a high roll of int in the first place, because at 3 FE a click, we're not even guaranteed to get the int at all, right? Like you're still, the percentage chance of getting that tier 1 int on there is, I want to say sub 1% or exactly 1%. It's not very high. So you can see here literally 1%. I think on the items, it might be like 3% maybe at most. Either way, it can get quite costly, so you're better off buying that. You can even look to see if you can find this with like one additional mod on it. So what you can do is you can do the same thing with the condition groups. So say we wanted affliction effect, so we know we're going to be rolling affliction effect. We'll see if we can find any of this as already tier 1 as well. And then we want like reaping duration, reaping cooldown recovery speed. And you can typically find yourself a good deal like this as well. Just make sure you add in the rest of the modifiers that you do want on here, which would be potentially any level of erosion on here. Oh, this is a helmet. Sorry, we're not looking for that on helmet. Yeah, these are the only other 3 mods we really care about. And then what we can do is now we can tell it to search. So it's going to have this high roll int and then one of these other mods on it as well. You can see sometimes this does make the item get much more expensive, but even at 188 FE here, this is probably cheaper than it would cost to actually try to roll it yourself. So something to keep in mind. And yeah, something to make sure you try to do to save yourself some money and time on the trade post. So if you have any other questions, leave them in the comments down below. And other than that, see you in the next one.